my name is ZeBirdBrain, and today we are talking about Harmony 24, but more specifically, new symmetry guides that's been added to Harmony, because yes, now you can draw in symmetry, as well as everything that is related more or less like to the drawing tools. So the symmetry guide can be found into the guides view, you know, right there. If you don't know what the guides view is, check my tutorial on the subject. I don't have time to cover it, okay? So the guides, basically, it's where you go to get all your perspective guides, right? So isometric, 1 point, 2 points, 4 points, fish point. The view as a whole changed, but none of the old features were taken out. They just moved a little bit. So anything that was really just specific to guides, like the perspective guides, is now in this area. So if I just make it like right here real quick, you're gonna see all these icons are still there and you can still use them. Nothing changed. It's just a bit more organized now. And here there's the eye to see or not your guide. And there's a little lock icon to lock your guides, okay? So if you go down here, there is the symmetry section. So of course, if you don't need the perspective guides, you can just, you know, eat the space. If you want to have like 10 symmetry guides, you could have them here and have like a symmetry guide party or something. But you know, usually you're only going to use one. And usually, even though we have dual axis symmetry, horizontal and vertical, most of the time, vertical is the one that you want to use, because the vertical symmetry guide is the one you use to usually create your character. So if I want to do the front view of this little dude over here, I can just start to sketch. And this really helps to have like a quick view of how large your character would be. Because if I only had like this side, or if I tried to draw like approximatively how it would look, you kind of waste time, because I've heard it. People are like, oh, I don't use the symmetry guide because it's cheating. Like, no. Symmetry guide is very useful. It doesn't make you draw better. It's just useful to experiment with proportions, and you know, like it just helps a lot to visualize how your character will be. Of course, if you're animating, like, you don't use that because you don't want your animation to be perfectly symmetrical. That's just weird. But to design, it's pretty freaking awesome. Okay, so that's the symmetry guide. There's not much to say about it. Currently, it only works with drawing tools, so like your brush, your pencil, your line tool. If you have your brush or your pencil set to autofill, it'll also fill the gaps as you draw them, because it's still considered a drawing tool. However, at the moment, it's really just for live drawing. If you're selecting, or if you're trying to edit a line, or if you're trying to fill with the buckets, it's not going to work. So it's really just for live drawing. If you're trying to select, edit, or fill, it will currently not work. Maybe in the future. Like, it's not that we didn't want to make it work. It's just that, you know, with time constraints, instead of not releasing the tool, they just decided to release it for live drawing. But, you know, the rest is probably going to come in the future. Who knows? So that's for the symmetry guide. So now, since we're talking about drawing tools, I'm going to walk you through the quick updates that happen to the brush and the pencil. So for the pencil, very simple. Now when you draw, you can go into your properties here, and you're going to find maximum opacity, minimum opacity. If I lower my minimum opacity and I draw, you see that I can have opacity in my pencil drawing. So that's pretty freaking amazing. The only downside, I have to be honest, it's for production. Be careful if you use it, because once it's drawn, you cannot edit it. So we don't yet have a tool to edit the opacity of your pencil stroke, just like we have usually the pencil editor, which can edit like the thickness of your pencil line. Like, my guess is that in the future we're gonna have a add-on that's gonna be able to edit the opacity of your lines. It's just that currently in this first version of this tool, it's not possible. But even with this, it's still so freaking useful. Like, I'm thinking of like if you're drawing like cool like effects like smoke or whiskers on a cat, it's really nice that you can have these transparent lines without having to do like any compositing bullshit on them. And if you go there, there's a little triangle, so you can map the opacity either to the pressure, the tilt, the speed, or anything else you want to your pencil. So yeah, it's pretty fun to experiment with like the pressure, tilt, and speed for your lines. Last but not least, the brush. So for the brush, in terms of the properties, what we added is a scroll bar. So if you have a very tiny screen, you can have a scroll bar now, and I'm not joking, it's very useful, because now we have so much to do with the brush. We added a full row of like randomness. We added count, which is very useful if you're using very, very textured brushes. Let me just show you here with the new brushes we added to Harmony. So in Harmony 24, as usual, we added new brushes. Most of these brushes are my brushes that I've been using throughout the year, and I'm like, I'm just gonna dump them in the software. These brushes are very nice because we used them, we tested them in-house before we just threw them in the software. So I think they're pretty nice, and I hope you like them. So, you know, there's the square brush that I use a lot in my painting videos. We also made cool watercolors. I know my colleague did a very nice like rough pencil texture. I just don't know where it is right now, but it's very, very nice. So there's a lot of new brushes that you should try. If you cannot find the new brushes, this is probably because you installed Harmony 24 while already having another version installed, like 22, 21, or 13. No, I'm kidding, 13 never existed. So if you cannot find these brushes, all you need to do is to delete the preferences of Harmony 24. To do that, I'm gonna put a link to the description. You should check it out because it's different on a Mac and on a PC. If I think of a Mac, for example, all you have to do is go to your library, bibliothèque in French, and then you find preferences. And if you go at the bottom of you're gonna find Toon Boom Animation, then you have to find Harmony Premium, and then you're gonna find all the preferences of the different versions that you have on your computer. At the moment, I have 22 and 24. So once you get there, what you need to do is make sure that you have all your Harmony scenes are closed, and then you go there. You see I have an old version, so what you need to do is take this preference file, you rename it as old, like you copy and paste it, and you rename this one as old or whatever, and then you're gonna want to delete this. And this is gonna delete all your preferences that you made. By deleting this, when Harmony is gonna reopen, it's gonna recreate its preferences, and then you're gonna have the right brushes. The reason why you need to do that is because by default, they assume you want the same preferences as in 22, so that by doing this, it also only puts the brushes from 22. Right, so you should do that if you install the software, that's my advice. And then it's gonna give you the brushes. Same thing for the new pencil, because with the pencil tool, we also added new textures. So you can find them here at the end. There's like 4 stripes, sketchy blobs and all that. So yeah, it's pretty nice. My favorite is sketchy. I use it all the time. That's it for the updates about the drawing tools in Harmony 24. Catch you next week for more videos. Goodbye!